now been a major leak of official records from the Chinese Communist Party. It is believed to be the first leak of its kind in the world. A register with the details of nearly 2 million Communist Party members. It includes their name, party position, birth date, national ID number, ethnicity, and in some cases, even their phone number. What's amazing about this database is not just that it exposes people who are members of the Communist Party and who are now living and working all over the world, from Australia to the US to the UK, but it's amazing because it lifts the lid on how the party operates under President and Chairman Xi Jinping. But this leak shows that party branches are embedded in some of the world's biggest companies and even inside government agencies. That's right, Communist Party branches have been set up inside Western companies, allowing the infiltration of those companies by CCP members who, if called on, are answerable directly to the Communist Party, to the chairman, the president himself. Along with the personal identifying details of 1.95 million Communist Party members, mostly from Shanghai, there are also the details of 79,000 Communist Party branches, many of them inside companies. This leak, and it's going to be front page of The Australian tomorrow and a big story in the UK as well, is a significant security breach that is likely to embarrass the Chinese president. But it's also going to embarrass some global companies who appear to have no plan in place to protect their intellectual property from theft, from economic espionage. The data was extracted from a Shanghai server by Chinese dissidents, whistleblowers, in April 2016, and they've been using it for counterintelligence purposes since then. It was then leaked in mid-September to the newly formed international bipartisan group, the Inter-Parliamentary Alliance on China, and that group's made up of 160 legislators around the world. It was then given to an international consortium of 4 media organisations, The Australian, The Sunday Mail in the UK, The Standard in Belgium, and a Swedish editor, to analyse over the past 2 months. And that's what we've done. At The Australian, we then were able to independently get hold of a more complete version of the same database from a confidential source. This allowed leading cybersecurity firm Internet 2.0 to trace the data back to its original leak and then conduct a rigorous metadata analysis and verification. And Robert Potter, who did this analysis, will be on the show in a moment. Now, a spokesperson for the Inter-Parliamentary Alliance on China said Luke de Pulford was the person who received the database from a non-governmental source but was not in a position to verify it, so he handed it to experts. He said journalists have since investigated and their findings are disturbing indeed. IPAC will push for governments and companies to respond, setting out how they intend to safeguard their values in the face of infiltration. And that's how they're describing this. Infiltration by Communist Party members by the party in major global companies. Charles Sturt University public ethics academic and specialist on China, Professor Clive Hamilton, said that the intellectual property of Australian companies or any global companies that has CCP employees embedded unbeknownst to them is at high risk of theft. He said that CCP members are obliged to purloin sensitive information if asked by China's intelligence agencies. They have no choice, he says, but if they are party members, it's what they sign up to. The party always comes first. He also points out that Shanghai is the main hub in China for organising spying on Western nations. He says the Ministry of State Security often uses the Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences to recruit foreign academics. Now, as part of this investigation, 2 Western intelligence agency sources said they would be keenly interested in having access to the data, and we understand that ASIO already has access to this database, although that is not confirmed and ASIO declined to comment. Now, it's worth noting that there is no suggestion that these members have committed espionage, spying, no suggestion at all. The concern is over whether Australia or these companies knew of the CCP members within their employ, and if so, whether any steps have been taken to protect their data, their intellectual property, and their people. Now, this all comes as the US Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, said recently in an opinion piece published in the Wall Street Journal that China is national security threat number 1. He said the intelligence is clear. Beijing intends to dominate the US and the rest of the planet economically, militarily, and technologically. I call its approach of economic espionage rob, replicate, and replace. China robs US companies of their intellectual property, replicates the technology, and then replaces the US firms in the global marketplace. China also steals sensitive US defense technology to fuel President Xi Jinping's aggressive plan to make China the world's foremost military power. US intelligence shows that China has even conducted human testing on members of the People Liberation Army in hope of developing soldiers with biologically enhanced capabilities. Just extraordinary. And it's against this backdrop, over such deep concern about the theft of intellectual property, about China's escalating aggression and economic coercion, that this leaked list of Communist Party members has made its way into the public domain. Now, to find out who is on the list, which companies have been exposed, and how the Australian government has been affected, you need to read the Australian newspaper. It'll be online later tonight or in the paper and online tomorrow. Subscribe if you're not already.